and he moved closer to Scott again. "Daddy, stories," he said. Scott looked round at me sympathetically. It had become a bit of routine. My nightmares would make me scream and wake up the boys, who would then expect to be read several stories by Scott before they would go back to sleep. "I'll read you a story," I said, and was greeted by two small, frightened-looking faces. "OK, you go with Daddy then." After they had disappeared upstairs, I sat back down on the bed and crossed my legs. It was unfortunate that the sounds from our room carried so easily to the boys up in their attic bedroom. It seemed that at least 50% of the time I would end up waking them. I sighed and looked at my blood-streaked wrist. All of us had had a lot to deal with in the past months, especially as we'd also moved to our new house. When Scott came back into our bedroom, he lay down quietly beside me. "Did they settle okay?" I asked him. "Eventually." "I can't believe I'm doing this to them," I said. "They're scared of me." "They're not scared of you. And they're not angry with you either. Once we were upstairs, they both asked if you were okay. They wanted to come back down and cuddle you, but I said you might have gone back to sleep. Leo said, 'Poor Mummy.' I don't want to be poor Mummy. I'm supposed to be looking after him." Scott was silent for a time. Then he said, "I am so angry with Vicky. I don't think I'll ever forgive her for putting that rose on your car." I looked away from him, a dull ache in my stomach. Even now, I was sickened by the thought that Vicky wanted to hurt and scare me badly enough to do such a hateful thing. But I said, "We have to try." Scott propped himself up on his elbow and looked at me with a mixture of astonishment and admiration. "I don't know how you can not want to kill her." "I'm too exhausted to be angry anymore." "We lost our baby because of her." Fresh pain bloomed inside me at his mention of it. But I refused to give in to anger. "We can't blame her for that. Blaming her makes it feel even worse. I don't want to believe she's pleased I've lost the baby, or that she would want something like that to happen. But do you really think the stress of believing Jay had found you and Leo didn't contribute?" "I don't know," I said, frustrated by his question. "Why does somebody have to be to blame? We don't know why it happened. It just did." His face softened, and he stroked my cheek. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go on at you. I'm sure you're right that what she did had no bearing on us losing the baby. I feel like this is my fault. You'd never have crossed paths with Vicky otherwise, would you?" "No, I wouldn't. But if it was a choice between having you and Dennis and putting up with Vicky, or being alone, you know which I would choose." He sighed. "You don't deserve all this. She doesn't even seem sorry for what she did. All she's sorry for is that she got caught." I didn't answer. I didn't want to think about it or talk about it. I wanted to forget it had ever happened. But Vicky's prank, as she'd called it to justify her actions, had cost me dearly. There was no doubt about that. I hated her for it. But despite my disgust at her actions, I had to admit, when the police had discovered it was her, relief had won out over anger. I was just so glad that it hadn't been Jay. Scott. 2. "How are you holding up?" Martin asked, as he followed Scott into the living room of the new house. Although they'd been there a few months now, there was still a cardboard box in the corner yet to be unpacked, and squares of various paint samples on the wall. "Felicity's getting there," Scott said. "She's managing to go to work again now, but I have to drive her there and back. She's doing well, though. She's trying to come off her anxiety medication." "That's good," Martin said. "But I asked how you were doing." Scott was taken aback by the question. He never spent much time thinking about himself, just trying to stay strong for Felicity. After finding the rose, she'd had a complete breakdown, and though the police had quickly found a witness who'd seen Vicky placing the flower on Felicity,